We're back with more Call to the Booth. We're going to look at some big-time games with playoff implications for Week 16. But before we did that, last week, we identified 4 teams that clinched playoff berths and we identified what their strengths were, their weaknesses, teams to avoid as we all get ready for the playoffs. 2 more teams got confirmed for the playoffs this past weekend, the Buffalo Bills and the Seattle Seahawks. Before we get to the Buffalo Bills and some things that you want to identify for them, Aqib, if you had to do your MVP rankings, where's Josh Allen?
MVP rankings, Josh Allen 3rd.
Really?
Y'all got him 3rd.
I would assume that would be Aaron Rodgers and Pat Mahomes over
Definitely.
him.
Yep. Pat Mahomes first, Aaron Rodgers. Then I got Josh Allen.
I would love if Josh Allen made the MVP. I think their story is unique. Great wins so far this year, and obviously he is the driving force of that team, which leads us to what we were just referencing. Best position group on the Buffalo Bills is
quarterback. Man, got to go with Josh Allen.
Liability for the Buffalo Bills going into a playoff game.
Liability, I'm going to go their run defense. Run defense, just if they could tighten up anything going into the playoffs, they could tighten up that run defense because teams is really going to get to it here in December, January, February. This when teams with good running games, they really come alive.
Very interesting setup, almost similar to the Kansas City Chiefs where their quarterback and their passing game is spectacular, but the rush defense is something that's not at that level. But maybe if you're always having the lead, you don't really have to worry about rush defense as much.
Exactly.
X factor for the Buffalo Bills.
I'm gonna go Gabriel Davis, just because John Brown got that knee. We don't know how healthy he's gonna be as that number 2 guy. And if team's smart, they're gonna try to take Diggs away. They got to take Diggs away in these playoffs if they want a chance to win. So he should start seeing a lot of double coverage, a lot of safety help. So that number 2 guy, that number 2 receiver, he got to come alive.
Yeah, we've seen, obviously, Cole Beasley has been one of the better slot receivers in the game, but obviously with a smaller body frame, you wonder if you could target him in the end zone or in jump ball situations.
Right.
Gabriel Davis with his size.
Need somebody on the outside.
There you go. And Gabriel Davis definitely has the size to throw some jump balls to him if Josh Allen feels like he should. And the team to avoid for the Buffalo Bills is?
Well, the team to avoid is going to be most likely that they first round matchup. If they stay in that 2nd seed, I'm going to go to Ravens. The Ravens slide in that 7th seed. That's a dangerous game. That's a dangerous game right there for Buffalo. So let's go to Ravens, team to avoid.
Ravens are ticking up. Lamar Jackson, if you own him in fantasy, he's really starting to uptick now. And then J.K. Dobbins is really starting to get a majority now of the rushing carries out of the backfield. So a team that's booming at the right time, unlike, as we mentioned in the last segment, the Pittsburgh Steelers. So let's talk about the Seattle Seahawks. Came off a win against the Washington football team, but have not been the big boom team that we saw so far earlier in the year. But obviously the Washington football team, had something to do with that. I think we all know who the best position group is on the Seattle Seahawks.
Definitely going Russell Wilson, definitely going quarterback.
Yeah, the let Russ cook movement has kind of tempered down from the beginning of the year, but maybe that means they can get a more balanced game and maybe some better health for Chris Carson, Carlos Hyde, and the guys in the backfield. Their liability
is that secondary. They playing better since Jamal came back. So they really got a quarterback in there. They playing better, but it's still not up to par. Still not gonna get the job done in the playoffs. So definitely that secondary.
Yeah, they get a test this weekend against Jared Goff, Robert Woods, Cooper Kupp, and those boys. You really get a test for their secondary. Good warm up for them at least. X factor for the Seattle Seahawks.
X factor, Jamal Adams. He's a linebacker, a defensive end, a DB. He almost play every position for them guys. And they secondary, they communicate better. They play better when he is in the game. So he's definitely the X factor. You got to clean that secondary play up.
And the team to avoid.
Team to avoid is them dangerous Arizona Cardinals. I seen them live. This is a dangerous football team, Harrison. Maybe the most dangerous team in the playoffs, honestly.
I could see it with the way the secondary is performing right now. I could see DeAndre Hopkins going for something nasty in a playoff game against the Seahawks if they don't tighten things up.
You can't play zone against them guys. You can't play man against them guys. It's tough. It's tough over there. So you got to pick your poison with the Cardinals.
All right, so we talked about all the playoff teams that over this show and our last show, we talked about all the playoffs teams. There are still teams vying for playoff spots. So with that, our producer Paul is going to jump in here, tell us about some of the key games, give us the lines. Aqib, just break it down for us and tell us what you see. Paul, what we got?
So on Thursday night, we got the Vikings. They're 7-point underdogs going to New Orleans with an over-under of 52. Saints clinched the NFC South with a win or a Tampa loss to the Lions.
I'm going to go Vikings +7. The Vikings is playing for their playoff lives as well. The Saints, they in the playoffs. Did they clinch already?
They are in the playoffs.
See, they already in the playoffs. They clinched. It's that enthusiasm, that passion for the game. It's just, it'll be there. The percentage of it is going to be missing, but it'll be there 100% for the Vikings. So you get them 7 points, I think they going to come get the Saints and run for their money.
Big time injuries to big time players for big time teams this past weekend. So Clyde Edwards-Helaire is probably going to miss the rest of the regular season, had that high ankle sprain. Who knows if he truly makes it back for the playoffs. And that reminds me of the Michael Thomas situation. Yeah, because remember what you said about Michael Thomas.
I told you that ankle going to be on his ass for the whole season, for at least, I ain't say the whole season, but I said for weeks and weeks and weeks. And then he came back still not the same, and they just put him on IR for the ankle. So I told you, high ankle sprain, that's the injury to avoid. You do not want that high ankle sprain, man. That's a terrible injury.
Yeah, so obviously Drew Brees came back, and I'm sure Saints fans are happy about that, but don't feel like they're going to be full strength going into the playoffs.
So I'm
game
going
number
Vikings.
2.
I'm going Vikings, and I'm going over. Let's go over that 52.
Okay, but are you taking the Vikings to actually win the game, or are you taking the line?
I'm taking the line. Vikings +7. We need that 7. Okay. They might lose by 3, but they're going to fight.
Next up, we got the 49ers +5 at the Cardinals. So it's kind of a neutral field, but Aqib, you were just there. You kind of know if it's really a home field advantage for the Cardinals. That's on Saturday. The over-under is 49. The Cardinals can get into the playoffs if they win and Chicago loses or ties.
I'm going Cardinals -5. That's a good football team playing some good football right now against a kind of depleted football team. They won't make the playoffs this year. I think guys who banged up for the Niners may sit out, and they're not making the playoffs. So young guys who they want to see what they got in the game, they may play. So it's one of them experimental games for the Niners. They're getting ready for next year. So the Cardinals, they're getting ready to catch fire going into these playoffs. So I'm going Cardinals, and I'm going over the 49.
I know a lot of people were looking forward to maybe seeing what Jeff Wilson Jr. could do out the backfield until Raheem Mostert was actually started for that game against the Cowboys this past weekend. But then he went out again. And if you're playing fantasy football, it does not look like George Kittle will risk coming back this season with now them be pretty much out of playoff competition.
Right.
Paul, we got one game for number 3.
All right. So another Saturday game, Dolphins, 3-point favorites in Las Vegas against the Raiders. Over-under is 47.5. So Dolphins are still alive. Raiders are barely clinging to life. So Dolphins still obviously need this to continue their push for a playoff spot.
Right. Dolphins fighting for that playoff spot. So I'm definitely going to go Dolphins. They got a good football team. They playing well. So I'm going to go Dolphins -3. And let's go under, man. I'm going to go under 47.5. Somebody going to be in the teens. Somebody going to be in the 20s. Let's go under 47.5.
Don't have too much to add to this one, but shout out to Marcus Mariota being prepared to replace Derek Carr.
Yes, sir.
In that game.
Came in and played well too. Came in and played a hell of a game.
For sure. Your guy Chris Harris made a hell of a play that really
did.
tilted that game back the other way. Justin Herbert balled out with a number of injuries. Keenan Allen was not 100% for sure. Mike Williams was not 100% for sure, but still balled out and definitely offensive rookie of the year. What we got for game number 4? Paul?
All right. So next up, we got the Colts, are 1.5-point favorites at Pittsburgh. This line shifted. Before last night's loss, the Steelers were like 2.5-point favorites. Now the Colts are favored after that loss. The over-under is 45. Colts still fighting for the AFC South. They can't clinch it this weekend, but they can clinch a playoff spot with a win and a Baltimore loss, or a win and a Miami loss. So still, strongly in the playoff mix there.
Okay, so I'm going straight off Mike Tomlin. Mike Tomlin this week. The Steelers will not lose 4 games in a row. Mike T won't let it happen. So Pick the Steelers this week. They're giving the Steelers points at home. They at home underdogs. And it's the Steelers. They won't lose 4 games in a row. They're going to win this game. And it's going to go over 45. This might be my lock. My homies always call me like, Lee, what's the lock, baby? This is my lock right here. Pick Pittsburgh. They ain't not going to lose 4 in a row. They're going to come out and get back on their shit. They're going to ball this week.
For people, this is a game with a lot of fantasy implications for people who did make it to the championship round between Deontay Johnson, Juju Smith-Schuster, Chase Claypool, Jonathan Taylor, maybe Naheem Hines, T.Y. Hilton. Do you like any of these guys in this matchup? Who do you really not like? What position might get shut down? Give me a little fantasy outlook for this matchup between those star players. Outlook.
It's gonna be a great day. Ben gonna come out and have a day. So Deontay Johnson, the wideouts gonna come out and have a day. Claypool, Deontay Johnson, Juju, all gonna have pretty good days. So play them boys, man. Play Big Ben. Not a lot of running. They're going to get back to what they was when they was 10-0. So not a lot of running, a lot of quick passes. They quick passes going to be the run game. That's going to get guys catches up. Juju and Claypool, Deontay. Wideouts going to have big days. Big Ben going to have a big day. Yeah.
Okay, we'll roll with that one.
Yeah, should also mention the Steelers, if they win, they clinch the AFC North. So
right.
Still some motivation.
That's what they've been trying to do. They've been trying to get over that hump, just get that Y or that X next to their name in them standings. So it's hard to do, man. It's hard to finish off, man. It's hard to finish off your season. But once you can get over that hump, it's better. I've been part of a team, 9-3 going into December. Lost 4 in a row, 9-7, no playoffs, man. So it's hard to get that, to close out that last win that put us in the tournament, man. But I think the Steelers, they'll get that done this week.
Rams off that brutal loss against the Jets, +2 at the Seahawks. Rams beat the Seahawks earlier this season. So over-under is 47.5. The Seahawks can clinch the West with a win. The Rams can clinch a playoff spot with a win or a Chicago loss.
Well, these teams always split. So I'm going to go Seahawks just because the Rams won the first one. And I like the Seahawks to win the division. If they win this game, they pretty much win the division. That'll put them too far up, right? Right, Paul?
Yeah, they clinch if they win. Seattle clinches if they win.
So definitely, I take Seattle -2, and I like it to go over the 47. High 20s from both teams. Close game. You see, they know it's gonna be a close game. That's why they only made it 2 points. But Seattle -2 with the over 47.5.
I have some fantasy questions related to that game in terms of quarterbacks. We'll save that for our DFS related show that will release on Thursday. And last game, Paul?
All right, so we got the Titans at the Packers. Titans +3.5 at the Packers on Sunday Night Football. Over under is 56. Packers already in. Hold on, that 1 seed in the NFC. Titans can clinch the AFC South with a win and an Indy loss against the Steelers.
Just the game of the week right here. So tell me the Packers situation again. They already in there.
They've not clinched the top seed, but they've clinched a playoff spot. They've clinched the North, and right now they're holding on to the top seed in the NFC.
Game of the week. Titans going to Green Bay. Nice.
Oh, there's a lot of good matchups here.
Oh, this is a great matchup.
Yep.
But honestly, I'm gonna go Titans with the points. I'm gonna take the Titans with the 3.5. If the Titans lose, it's gonna be super close. I'm gonna take the Titans with the 3.5, and I'm gonna go under the 56. I'm gonna go under the 56. A lot more running than guys think, so that clock gonna be sped up. So I'm gonna go under the 56. Titans +5.
You've alluded to in our previous show when we talked about the Green Bay Packers, you alluded to their rush defense being their weak point. So
right.
Derrick Henry has been on a mission, and so therefore
that has a lot to do with my pick. Yeah, that had a lot to do with my pick.
For sure. So before we get out of here, on the topic of running backs, I saw yesterday the Pro Bowl voting came out. Shout out to everybody who made it. I just have one issue, Aqib.
Yeah.
The AFC running backs were Derrick Henry, Josh Jacobs, and Paul, who was that third one again?
For AFC running backs?
Yeah. It was Derrick Henry, Josh Jacobs. Why is this guy's name?
Oh, Chubb. It was Chubb.
And Nick Chubb.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, yeah, and Nick Chubb. Now listen,
So who
Nick
you
Chubb's
like?
in my fantasy.
Who should have been?
I like Nick Chubb, even though he missed like 4 games, I believe. Josh Jacobs has been good too. But how can we forget James Robinson? He's been balling.
See, but that's how the Pro Bowl go. The Pro Bowl, the year you're supposed to make it, you probably won't make it. You'll make it the next year. So that's kind of the fans and the NFL, the players, they kind of got an introduction to who you are. But it's his first year really balling. You know
Yeah, well, it's definitely been a grand opening to start his career, and for that Jacksonville team.
If it's your first year balling, it's his first year balling. You know what I'm saying? You young, so you got to introduce yourself to the league. Yeah, but that's where all pros come in now. All pro don't care how old you are; they go off stats alone. Whoever had the best years, they get the all pro. So maybe he get an all pro. He has been balling. Maybe he get an all pro. Now all pro, that's where Chubb might not get an all pro because you got them 4 games you missed. So if James Robinson, he played all 16, he been in there all season.
He's been in all season.
Oh yeah, see that's how you get all pros. You play the whole season, so your numbers probably be better than everybody else at your position. So he might not get snubbed on the all pro, but Pro Bowls is more it's more popularity contest. So he's not that popular yet. You know what I'm saying? He's still building his brand. So that's just how it go. It happens to the best of us. I should have went to the Pro Bowl like 3 years before I went to my first one. So jump in line, Mr. Robinson. Jump in line, my boy.